Bizarre Brain Comics. Oh, nightmare. Oh, yeehaw! Yeehaw! Yoo-hoo! Ooh, yeehaw! The Trigger Kid here once again. I'm here to tell you tales of the Wild West that never was. Ha ha! Yeah. I'm here for Bizarre Brain Comics. One of the YouTube channels I listen to, Michael K. Vaughn on and others on BookTube, they kind of get together and have June on the Range. So this is kind of my unofficial acknowledgement of June on the Range. And here, Bizarre Brain Comics. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics and talk a little bit about the creators, the characters, and then examine the stories and the art. What I want to look at today is, what year was this? Take a look at this book right here, The Black Phantom from AC Comics. And this is a reprint of Black Phantom. No, this is Black Phantom #1, and this is a reprint of the original Black Phantom #1 from 1954, I think it was. And AC Comics was a company from the late 80s and early 90s. I think this was 86. Was that what it was? I think that's what it said. 1986. Huh. I don't see it on here. Oh, 1954. This was originally printed in 1954. And this is from, still couldn't find the date, but it's, I think it's the late 80s. And AC Comics did, in the late 80s and early 90s, printed and reprinted a lot of Golden Age comic material. A lot of westerns and some superheroes that were all in the public domain at that time. And then picked up some of those characters, specifically female characters, superheroes, and presented them in new stories, creating the title known as Femforce. I'll show you some of those another time. But it had especially focused on some of these old westerns, and it was a lot of fun. These were some silly stuff. A lot of these were tie-ins with the comic books that were tied in with actors and Western movie characters such as Batlash and Tim Holt and some of the others. Now this is the Black Phantom is a female character. She's masked. A lot of these characters were kind of like a Lone Ranger knockoff, in that they wore masks, especially the original characters were kind of Lone Ranger type knockoffs. They had Blackjack, Black Mask, Red Mask, and this is now Black Phantom first appeared in 1951, I think it said, in Tim Holt, number 25. And Tim Holt was an actor who starred in some low-budget Western movies. And like others, like Roy Rogers, had his own comic book, set him in Western stories. And then around number 18 or number 19, they made Tim Holt a masked vigilante, Red Mask. And the Black Phantom first appeared in Red Mask in 1951, I think they said it was, number 25, that she was a villain. She started out as a villain. A couple years later, she came back as a good guy, helping Red Mask, and she appeared in, basically was Red Mask's sidekick for a while, and then they published her own story, her own title, but just had issue 1 and possibly issue 2, but no, it seems, at least in the background that I found, no one had an issue 2, so I think it was just limited to just the 1 issue. But she still appeared for several years with Red Mask until the line was dropped in 1957. So this story was drawn by Frank Bolle, who I've talked about before. Maybe his name is supposed to be pronounced Bolle, I don't know. But Frank Bolle, who I've talked about before, and because he drew for many years a lot of stuff for Gold Key Comics. But this was in the early days, and then he was known as a good girl artist, especially in the golden age, the pre-Comics Code days. I'm sorry about the noise. We've got some people working on this side of the house here, so we just have to deal with that. And Frank Bolle was known as one of the many good girl artists, and he drew very sexy women. And by the time he was doing stuff with Gold Key, it was Magic started with Dell and then Gold Key. He was a fine artist. He had the Comics Code had put the kibosh on that, especially Gold Key, which is all aimed at younger readers anyway. The sexuality that was exuded in the characters was pretty much done away with. Although he still did fine male and female figures. And the story I want to look at here is Sheriff Satan. Now, from what I understand, most of, if not all, of these stories were, the Black Mask and Tim Holt stories were, as well as a bunch of other of the Westerns, were written by Gardner Fox, who is best remembered for his years writing for DC Comics in the late 50s and late 50s through the 60s. And best remembered, of course, because he was co-creator of the Justice League of America. So let us take a little look. The golden days of yesteryear. On June on the Range with Black Phantom. There, here you go. You can see that nicely drawn cover. Kind of action-packed with Black Phantom, Frank Bolle, doing the art duties, as he drew all the Black Phantom stories in here. We're just going to take a look at one of them. There you can get an example of it. Let's see, what do they have on the back? Oh yeah, also in these books, they frequently reproduced still photographs from a bunch of these old-timey, low-budget Western movies that were done. These were mostly of a juvenile nature, even though they had good girl artists. Like I said, Tim Holt. I can't think. And we'll cover some of those. I got a bunch of them here, and we'll cover some of those in the future. I got a bunch of westerns, and I really like Western comics, and I'm just sad to see them. I like Western movies, and I like Western novels. Of course, Louis L'Amour and stuff. And one of my favorite Western books series is Long Arm, and that's definitely of an adult nature. Long Arm, and I always liked Edge from the late 70s, early 80s. Love the Western movies, the Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns, and the like. Now here, take a look. Ah, we've even got Woody. Hey, Woody. Black Phantom, Sheriff Satan, and it just had this long splash panel. It just does not actually represent an event in the story, but to give the impression. And look at as you can see here, how Frank Bolle did some really nice figure work, and she's just a lovely, luscious lady. And one of the ways you can tell this is pre-comics code, is that she always had her shirt open. Of course, it's fairly snug fitting shirt and skin tight pants, but usually had her shirt open almost to her navel, showing a good deal of bosom. And I guess then after the comics code, she had to button up. So anyway, Sheriff Satan. Here's giving us a little introduction in this area of the West. This had these criminals, and they were led by this guy calling himself Sheriff Satan, in which his gang would, well, still being robbers and the like, they would get lawmen and arrange a kangaroo court, convict them of crimes against the criminals, and then hang them. And you can see here, kind of graphic. This they're showing one of the lawmen here, just his feet, fortunately, hanging. And here they are in the town of Bullet, which is where Black Phantom and Red Mask work out of, and they're capturing Sheriff. I can't catch his name. He'll come up again. The sheriff that Black Phantom works for. There he is. Gage. Sheriff Gage. They capture Sheriff Gage. And Black Phantom tries to interfere, try to take this fellow down. And again, just see how sexy she is in almost every shot. She kind of takes the guy down, but before the sheriff can get a gun, he's knocked unconscious, and Black Phantom is knocked to the ground when he wheels this cart wagon into her, and there she is on the ground holding the gun on the sheriff, saying, "You stay right there. We're going to take off, or I'm going to shoot the sheriff right now." So she said, and look how that's almost like a pinup image. And one of the nice things I liked in Frank Bolle's art here is that he often breaks, as you can just see, just in these couple of pages, he breaks the panel borders several times. Kind of gives an extra three-dimensionality and an extra sense of dynamism to the art. So they're taking off, and she gets up and she gets her horse and starts tracking them to a ghost town somewhere where they're holed up. And here they see she snuck up and listening outside the window, and they're going to hang the sheriff. Well, she's got to come up with some rescue plan. So she gets a wagon filled with hay, setting it alight and rushing through the town, and catching the building that they're in on fire. Then she busts in. Now, this is kind of odd, though, I think, in that just the placement of the figures, so that Sheriff Gage's face is completely obstructed by the brim of the hat of Sheriff Satan. And while the place is burning down around him, and people are panicking, she busts in and tries to save the sheriff. But there are too many of them, and they get hold of her, and she can't get out. Again, I don't have to say why he was known as a good girl artist. All his figures are great. So she's captured. Of course, they have to move to another building because that one burns down. And then they have their kangaroo court. Witnesses how she had captured some bad men. Another witness how she had captured some more bad men. And okay, you're guilty. Oh, that's a really, really lovely face on her. And I notice, I haven't got to him here yet. I'll get when I get to him. They lock her up in this room because they're going to the town of Bullet to rob the bank, because there's a load of gold being going to be placed in the vault today. So she's locked in this room, and a little later they come to bring her some food, and what she's hiding on the ceiling has wedged herself against the two walls because it's a small, narrow room. It's like a little more than a closet. And she jumps down on the guy, and she manages to escape herself, but she can't take on the other bandits. She can't take on the other bandits by herself. So she gets on her horse, rides back to the town of Bullet, tries to warn everybody. But when she tells the story, they just can't believe these crooks are snatching lawmen and hanging them. Now here's where we get some of these faces. Some really nice faces on these guys. Now it looks like it might have been done from photographic reference. And again, just look how sexy her figure is right there. Right. Then how nice these faces look. Almost every shot of her, she looks like a pinup doll. So she comes up, can't get anybody to believe her what's going on, and that the sheriff is captured. And she gets an idea. Sees these carts of gold, these boxes filled with gold, and she gets an idea. Then pretty soon the crooks are riding into town with a small army of gangsters here, bad men, and it's Sheriff Satan. And again, some more of these nice, look like photo reference faces. I wouldn't be surprised if they're people that Frank Bolle knew, either that or photographs. And they are robbing the bank because they got to hold everyone at bay at gunpoint. They load this gold up on the wagon, and right as they're riding out of town, she's holed up there with a rifle, takes one shot, and kablooey! Blew up the whole kit and caboodle. And while that stuns everybody, she busts down and captures all the bad guys, all by her lonesome. And they can't figure out, well, how on earth did a girl all by herself do this? And what caused the explosion? Well, it turns out that she had taken the gold out of those boxes, hid it, and substituted dynamite, so that when she shot the box that they thought was gold, I think they should have noticed that it wasn't as heavy, but still, it exploded. Now, okay, and here is a reproduction of the Tim Holt number 25, in which Black Phantom made her first appearance. And again, you can just see how the whole drawing is very, very lovely. Her outfit is a little different, but you can see just how sexy she was here, which is kind of surprising considering these were aimed at a more juvenile audience. But all the figures in this is just well done, very nicely done. And that is the first of Black Phantom. I really enjoyed it. It's a simple, straightforward story. These relied on little tricks, gimmicks. Of course, one of the gimmicks was the mask, the domino mask. All these, because remember, at this time, the Lone Ranger was extremely popular, both on radio and on television. So there were a lot of Lone Ranger type knockoffs both in comics and in movies. It's some nice fun stuff. And Frank Bolle did a great job considering he's rushed, because he drew all this, and he was drawing the Tim Holt, and he was drawing at the same time several other stories and covers for other publishers as well. So I hope you enjoyed that. We'll see more of these AC comic reprinting the westerns, and I find it very enjoyable, and well, it's just a lot of fun, good clean fun, because usually, like the good guys, they don't shoot the bad guys, they just shoot the guns out of their hands, and like, typical stuff, Roy Rogers type stuff. Thanks for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. And remember, comics are art.